So, Laurie, thank you so much for taking time for us this morning. As you know, we're doing some oral history interviews and just wanting to hear a little bit about your lifetime experiences in Port Stanley. So, I guess to start with, you spent your summers here as a child, or?
Every single summer of my life, because I was a teacher, I would come back in the summertime, and so I wasn't here full time, but I was here a lot. Actually, sometimes in high school, we would stay down into the fall because Mom was also a teacher in St. Thomas, so we'd get a ride to school in September. One year we were here till Halloween. It was getting a little cold, but...
And where was your cottage when you were a kid?
It was up on Front Street, directly above this house, but I can just say our neighbor to the west was the Rustico cottage. In those days, it was owned by the Harpers, and nowadays,
Like Bud Harper? Or?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
it's been torn down, our cottage, and new houses built, so you can't really tell where our property was up there.
The Rustico cottage was just recently designated,
Yes.
so that's nice. It'll be there forever now.
Yes, and I did see Stuart Harper last summer at a restaurant, and I went and told him that. And I was glad I did, because he passed away not much later.
So they were your neighbors, I guess, when you were a kid up there, and you had friends along the street that you'd connect with every summer. And...
Yeah, they were Mary and Martha Dake back in those days, twin girls, and we did everything together. And underneath our cottage, because it was built on stilts in this ravine, the one summer it was full of little teeny toads the size of my fingernail, and we were probably 6 or 7 years old, and we had all the toads named and toady kennels, and they still remember doing that. I mean, it was so crazy, but that was that summer, and it was the conditions were just right for that. But the Front Street we had so much fun on Front Street, and a neighbor 2 doors from us, Dr. Henry's house, he had a fish pond in the backyard, and we would go over there and lie on our stomachs and look at the fish, and we get fish flies and feed the fish. One time my sister fell in the pond. She was probably 4, and she went crying home, telling Mom we pushed her. It was not true.
Still denying it to this day.
Yes, and she still brings it up. Anyway, yeah, we had a lot of fun up on that hill, and we were about 10 cottages apart, but they lived here full time. So they have some different stories to tell about winter in their cottage. Obviously, we had no heat in our cottage, although there was, I think it was torn out just when I was born. We did have a big wood or oil stove in the living room, because you could see the hole in the side of the cottage where it used to go out. So up on that Front Street, oh, and there still is a back street. I think it's called Tower Heights,
yeah.
but we always called it the back street. And the boys who were back there, we just called them the Backstreet Boys. So it's kind of funny nowadays with that group that was out, and they were just the Backstreet Boys. Anyway, we would go down the street when we were little, on our own, to the park at the very end.
So where the condos are now, that was parkland at that time.
Yeah, it was a wonderful, huge park with enormous trees and full of squirrels. And that's where the incline came up to the top, and there was a booth that was open random times where you could go and buy a popsicle. Not too much there, but we had so much fun there, and they had a platform in the park. It was about this high off the ground, and they had every summer they had the Irish picnic. And we would go down there, and we would all look for green stuff to wear. Never had any green stuff to wear. And watch the girls, I think it was all girls, on the stage doing their Irish dances.
There were a lot of different picnics held down
Oh,
there, eh? I can
tons of
remember
picnics,
going to
and
things as
You
a
know, it
kid.
was a busy day when the cars were parked all along Front Street, almost to our cottage, where there was not enough room to park.
Oh boy.
Was Front Street paved in those days?
Well, that's what I just phoned a friend about yesterday, because at our place, Dad had a service station in St. Thomas, and he would bring down used oil and pour it on the road in front of the cottage to keep the dust down. And then, Martha told me that she was not allowed to go in their cottage until she had her feet cleaned. So she had to get some turpentine to get the tar off the bottom of her feet, because she used to wander around just in her bare feet. So we were trying to figure out if it was like just tarred, the whole street was tarred, or if there was any asphalt used at all in it.
Or was it just the oil from your dad's?
Well, Dad just did in front of our
Okay.
place. So that's why I was wondering if ours was gravel, and then a little further down the street it was just regular, some pavement.
That wouldn't be very nice to walk on. It was all oily though.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we were kids, we didn't care.
So to get to the beach, would you go down through the park and down the incline?
Well, we could scamper down the hill.
Where did you scamper down? In front of the park, or?
No, from our
front of your
cottage.
place?
We didn't do it often, but the next door actually had a nice jut out on the south side of the street, and so we could get the path from there and come down if we. Well, our there were 8 cottages on this property. We or Mom did not own the cottages. She just owned the property, and they paid rent. So sometimes she'd send me down to pick up a check or something from the rent these people were paying.
So your family owned down here and had rental cottages. Am I getting that right?
Yes.
Okay.
So the place we're in now was part of that property.
Yeah, it was on that property.
Yeah.
This place is 32 years old. Yeah. But there were 7 cottages on the beach and 1 on the hill. So we would go up and down, but not too often. When we actually went to the beach when we got older on our own, or even with Mom, we would go to the main beach.
Yeah.
We would always go to the main beach and maybe have some French fries. I don't remember if that's why we went to the main beach. Yeah.
There was lots happening on Main Beach, that's for sure.
To go to the main beach, then, if you weren't scampering down the hill, would you ride the incline railway or would you drive around?
I think Mom usually drove us.
Yeah.
When we got older, though, we would walk through the park to the big, long set of wooden stairs at the
end.
east end of the park and go down. And if the incline were working, then we would pay our nickels or dime. Maybe it was up to a dime by then. And we would take the incline back up. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what year the incline shut down. You would have been maybe a teenager then or something?
Oh yeah. It was I was probably in university. It was there a while. So I'm gonna go with late 60s.
Yeah.
So when you would be at Main Beach, what sort of things would you do down at Main Beach?
Well, the boardwalk was a fun spot. Well, the Stork Club, let's start there at the one end of the Stork boardwalk. They had these dances there, and they had dances for the adults, but they had teen dances on a Friday or a Sunday night. And often they had bands there. I remember hiring a band for our school dance in St. Thomas. It cost $100. My mother was quite annoyed with me that I was spending $100 for this band, but they were called the Cavaliers, and they were down at the Stork Club a lot, so we had a lot of people at that dance.
You went to CCI?
Yeah, I went to STCI, yeah.
So it sounds like you organized that. Oh,
Yeah, I was in the athletic association.
okay.
Yeah. So there was also one summer when we could roller skate at the Stork Club inside, which was nice because if it was raining, you couldn't use the other roller rink. It wouldn't be open that night. So, and it was a huge floor to be using for roller skating.
Was that when they weren't having as many dances that they started having the roller skating, or was it just different nights? Or
Well, it would be midweek.
midweek.
Yeah.
And otherwise, there was an outdoor roller rink.
Yes. So the Stork Club was at the one end, the roller rink at the other, and right now that land is owned by Mackey's, and it goes right to the street, Edith Cavell.
Yeah.
Well, the
From-
parking lot.
Parking lot.
Yes, that parking lot, because there are areas where you can see there's terrazza there, and that's where I think it was the Lions Club had put up boards this high, and we enjoyed roller skating there a ton. Yeah, and I'm just looking at this ticket for it was membership for the 1966 season. The Lake Roller Drum Club, 50 cents for the membership.
For the season.
And then it says dues 50 cents. So just June, July, August, September. Yeah. And here's one for the incline, 10 tickets for 25 cents. But that was before my day. But the roller rink was at the other end, Stork Club down there. And then after the Stork Club, there was the bathhouse, this huge long building where people, before my day, used to rent bathing suits, which is a concept pretty foreign to us now. So they would come down in their Model Ts or whatever, and they would go there and be given a ticket to get in and change in a dressing room. I think the floor was just a cement, and it was quite a kind of jail-like setting inside the bathhouse. It was just so barren and primitive.
It was just a change house, though, really.
Yeah, but they did have a booth at the front where they sold beach balls and pails and that kind of stuff. And there were some guys who there was a room up in there, and some guys stayed there, and they ran the booth. And one of the guys was Jim Gurr. His dad was Lloyd Gurr, who was a reeve here at one point. And we were up in that room a couple times, and it was quite a big room. Every single wall was absolutely covered with posters from the Stork Club. So Louis Armstrong and Guy Lombardo and all these wonderful people who performed there over the years. And when that burned down, the bathhouse burned down, it was a sad day because all those posters disappeared also in the fire. But these guys, they were probably 17 or 18 years old, and they were just having a great old summer running the booth.
So in your summers here, you had friends that were cottage people, but also friends that were here year round. Did you get to know people from Port Stanley and stuff?
Yes, and also keep in mind that everyone went to school in high school in St. Thomas. So, we would know a lot of them from high school. I remember Linda Pierce. We all used to go riding at Hepburn's on the highway, and Linda broke her back one time horse riding, and she had a cast on that summer from her armpits down. So when she went to the beach, she only wore the bottom of a bathing suit because she had the cast on. But Linda lived here full time, and she was in school in St. Thomas with me.
And a lot of them probably had your mom as a teacher.
Yeah. Now, Mom taught phys ed, so it wasn't really that threatening to have Mom as a teacher. Like it might have been for other kids if it had been English or geography or something. Yeah.
I'm curious about the bathhouse. So did it burn down when the Stork Club burned down?
No, it was a separate fire.
Okay. Were you here for any of those fires?
I happened to have the remains of the fire at the bathhouse, but I can't remember. I took it, but I don't think we were here, but maybe we were nearby. Maybe we were visiting in St. Thomas or something. But
It'd certainly be an important memory that that would stick out
Yeah.
because it was so sad for that to happen, wasn't it?
Yeah. Because at the far end of it, the east end of the bathhouse was the Penny Arcade. So that was full of pinball machines and all sorts of different fun and games in there. And then they had a big jukebox that by the time the 60s came, they were belting out those songs out the front door and the side door of the Penny Arcade. So you could go in there with a quarter and maybe do 5 different games or machines.
Sounds like that's what you did.
Not much,
No?
but we would go in and watch other people.
Oh, okay. That was cheaper that way.
A lot cheaper. Yeah. Yeah. And then there was the original Mackey's, and where the French fry booth was separate. Maybe that was for fire regulations. I don't know. But it's when you think about it now, it seemed funny that you had to go here for hot dogs and orangeade and had to go there for the French fries.
Or was it just how they expanded sometime or something? I wondered
don't
that
know.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've seen lots of changes in Port Stanley.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there were a few more booths. There were ice cream booths where you could get 3 flavors, like 3 scoops and 3 flavors. And you know how long people wait for their kids to make a decision now. What do you want, butterscotch or chocolate? You know, make up your mind. But just think of what it would have been like if a kid has to choose 3 different flavors. But there were a few of those along the boardwalk. And then there was another booth. And then going east before the roller rink, there was a bowling alley. It was pretty tired when I was there, and I never played in there, but I do remember you could stand on the boardwalk and look in, and they had pinboys, so there were no machines or to set the pins back up. There were kids, and then at the far end, which is now the Buccaneer, it used to be the Lakeside Hotel. And then across the street from there was the Orion Hotel.
What, like Rusty's Reef thing now? Or
Yes, yeah. Dale Bates owns that now. Yeah.
That used to be a hotel as well, I guess.
Yes, and
Maybe a lot of people wanting to stay by Main Beach at the time.
and I understand. And again, I was little at the time, but that was the Jewish hotel.
Why? What connotation for being?
Well, I think Jewish people weren't welcomed at a lot of places.
Oh.
In fact, I heard they weren't even welcomed at Union Golf Course.
That's right. They were not. I mean, it's horrible to reflect on that.
And I'm thinking that was 50s or before that. And my aunt told me the Elgin Hotel, which is where Edith Cavell information is at the corner of Edith Cavell and William Street, that nice little park now. There was a hotel there called the Elgin Hotel, and she told me there was a sign that said no Jews allowed.
Oh my goodness.
I couldn't believe it.
It's shocking, and that's the first we've heard that, but it's just representative of how Canada's changed, eh? And thank goodness this community has too.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Do you remember that when you were a kid here?
well, my aunt told me that probably when I was in my 20s.
Right. When you were shocked when you heard that at that
Yeah.
time. Yeah. Yeah, things have changed, that's for sure.
When we were roller skating, we didn't, check out who was from where.
Right. You're just having fun.
Yeah.
This kid's having fun. That's the best thing. Right?
Yeah. They had, also they had some trampolines on the beach on the south side of the Historic Club, and they were even with the sand, so they weren't
With
raised
a
up.
pit underneath it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes it safer for sure.
Yeah. I think that was only a couple summers that probably got buried in the sand over the winter.
Did you try it? Did you
Oh
try-
gosh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's probably where that basketball court is right now.
Yeah.
In that area.
And what about over in the village itself? As a teenager, you must have gone over there for certain things.
Yes. Yes, we were no longer riding our bikes up and down the picnic hill. I shouldn't say we rode them up because we did not ride them up. We rode them down. But in the village, yes, I remember we would go to town hall dances, teen dances, and I think one of the baseball teams organized it. And that's where we met Donnie and Doug Bell, and we were all the same era. And next door to the town hall was the library, and then where Glover Park is now, there was a little tiny restaurant called Leo's Snack Bar. And on a hot summer night, I can remember going there for 3 pops. You know, you'd have an orangeade, then have cream soda, maybe then a Coke. You knew it was a hot night if you had 3 drinks at Leo's Snack Bar.
And what kind of snacks did they have? Was it hamburgers or?
Yeah, hamburgers, hot dogs, probably ice cream also.
So sort of like a teenage hangout spot.
Well, the dances were just, you know, once a week on a, let's say, Saturday night, so we weren't hanging out there that much. But then the hardware store that's still in the same location, it used to be Burke's Hardware Store, and Mom would take us there on a rainy day for something to do.
They had little gifts and stuff. In
Yeah,
those
they had some toys and that kind of thing. And then there was Lavac's Bakery that we adored, where you'd get the soybean bread. So we grew up having soybean bread all the time. I still love it to this day, but it's not as good, I don't think.
Is that a sweet bread then?
No.
I don't know it.
No, it's made from soybeans, so...
It's like white bread with little soybean bits in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was on a school trip with kids at the Royal Winter Fair one time, and there was a soybean exhibit, and they had soybean bread, and I said, "Oh, where did you get the soybean bread?" And she said, "Well, we came from Sarnia. We stopped into St. Thomas, and then we proceeded to Toronto." So I guess maybe it was a local thing.
Yeah. But Lavac's was famous for it in this area.
Yes. Yes.
And you're saying the Lavac's Bakery, I was trying to remember where it was. It was kind of where the dentist is now, or in there somewhere?
Well, I think it moved there later. Before that, it was where Apropos is now.
Right. Okay, because I was also picturing it that way too. Okay. Yeah.
And then where the dentist office is now, that was Elliott's drugstore.
Oh, yeah.
And Jerry Elliott was the pharmacist forever. I think I'm going to go with 50 years. I mean, he was there, and his plaques were on the wall behind him for how many years. And the drugstore, in the back corner, it had a teeny little room for doing your hair. So someone did the hair there. Then on the other side, they had a long snack bar. And you could go and have, again, more ice cream at the snack bar. I'm guessing they didn't have sandwiches, but I don't remember that.
It seems odd to me that they would have a hair place and food in a pharmacy.
I think that was typical in a lot of places back then. Yeah, so that would have been in the 50s.
So who would do the hair?
Oh, there was another lady, and I don't know if she was there 6 days a week or how often she was there. And she didn't need a lot of space. Like, there was one sink, and then a chair, and she'd cut your hair or give you a perm.
Did you get your hair cut there?
A couple times in the summers, yeah. Remember Pam McGuire's mother worked there. She was British, had this accent. I wasn't used to hearing an accent.
So you've kept coming back to Port Stanley. You've lived elsewhere, but you've said you've always been here your summers. Like, what keeps you, now you're living here full time?
Yeah, well, at this point in my life, I do especially appreciate how quiet it can be. Lying in bed the last couple mornings, and nights too. There's been no wind. The lake hasn't been noisy. There's been no construction. It's just been quiet.
It does change in the summer, doesn't it?
It sure changes in the summertime. Yeah. And I'm excited for the merchants to have business in the summertime. Yeah. But it sure changed over the years. And when you think about it, all the churches that we've had in Port, well, the Catholic Church is closed now, but we have 3 other churches that are still going. And for the size of the village, imagine 4 churches. And the The old school that I never attended, but my friends did, was a big red brick 3-story typical school where the post office is now. And then they moved that out of the core of the village. But no, there were no buses back in those days for in town, only if you were going to high school in St. Thomas. So if you were, up on Front Street, you'd be walking to school if you're on Mitchell Heights. But there weren't that many permanent residences here.
But those kids that had to walk a bit of a way would just have to do it.
Yeah, for example, Donnie and Doug Bell and their brother David, they lived on Hill Street. I think they took the shortcut down onto the highway and then that way. But
They'd have bikes though too.
yeah, they would have bikes. Yeah. And then the other thing that's kind of surprising was all the service stations that were in Port Stanley for the time. And there was a service station, I think it was where the Legion is now, that had a parrot. That, of course, I wasn't there much because of my age, but it was always kind of fun to see if you could see the parrot when you were walking by.
Do you know if it was a talking parrot?
I think it was, yeah. And then where the variety store is now beside the liquor store, that was a service station at one point.
Yeah.
And Rick Booker ran the service station part of it. Yeah.
And then there was one kind of where the drugstore is now, or where.
Where the Bell Center
the Bell
is, there
Center
was
is
one
now,
right on the
yeah.
corner
Yeah.
at the light. Yeah. And I think there were some others, but
Well, the fire hall, I think, used to be a gas station as well. What is now the old fire hall, where the market is.
yeah, I have memories of a blacksmith shop over there actually.
Oh, really?
But again, I was probably quite young, so I wasn't over there watching them work on a horse or something.
So your family goes back generations here in Port, though, eh?
Yeah, it was my great grandfather Charlie McCorkle, who settled here, I guess you could say, although he lived in St. Thomas. But he built our family cottage up top on Front Street.
When would that have been?
Well, I'm going to go with in the 1800s.
Yeah.
So when you say he settled here, he came from overseas and settled?
Yeah, he was from Ireland.
Okay.
And of course, I never knew him, unfortunately.
Well, he picked a good spot to come, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Well, and Mom remembers canoeing in the harbor with him.
Yeah. So he lived in St. Thomas, but built a cottage here. And what was his business in St. Thomas, or what did he do there?
I don't know what he did.
Yeah.
I think he must have been doing well if he was able to build a cottage in Port Stanley. Because there is a cottage that would be actually beside your house, Dave, up there, Dr. Henry's house. And that was the old farmhouse. I've been told by one of the kids who lived in that house. So I don't know how much farmland, maybe that's all that was up, at least at that end of the street.
Early pictures show it very clear of any trees or anything, so maybe it was grazing land too.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Yeah.
Yes. I do remember when the Hillcrest Inn burned down.
Okay.
And we were in exams at that point, so Mom and I came down to see, and I remember the bushes were just totally covered in ice, and the building was...
It was in the winter that it burnt down.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember that.
Yeah.
So from the firefighters shooting the water would coat all the ice. Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from that fire. And then we would go to Hillcrest Inn occasionally for a meal.
Special dinner of some kind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard it had a very nice dining room.
Yeah. Yeah. I think people had their weddings there, and
Yes.
also, yeah.
What else do you want to tell us about?
Oh, back to the Stork Club. When we were little, Mom took us there one time because there was a ballroom dancing contest going on. And we went in and went up on the balcony, and we could watch them all in their beautiful gowns and everything. That was fun. I had forgot all about it till watching Dancing with the Stars one night, and all of a sudden it came back to me. Oh, isn't that cool that that was going on? Also, the Stork Club was home to some frost shops when I was at Western.
Mm-hmm.
I went to more than one frost shop there.
Tell me what's a frost hop.
That's a dance for first-year students at Western. So they would have, I don't know, 20 buses going from London to Port Stanley to the dance.
That's a lot of kids in one place.
Yes, yes.
That's how a lot of Western people got to know Port Stanley. Was
Through the frost
coming
shops.
over for that stuff.
And even our grade 13 prom, we had the after party at the Stork Club. After the prom at CCI school in the gym, and then we changed into shorts and we went there. I don't remember if they had a band. I'm guessing they just had records. At the foot of the incline, in that great big, it used to be nothing but just a park where the condos are now. So again, when I was little, we took the train, Mom and my sister and I, we were little. It was a rainy day, and we took the train right to the foot of the incline. Mom was thinking so she could just get on the incline and get to the cottage, but no, because it was raining, the incline wasn't working. So I can remember huddling in a phone booth down there where she was trying to phone somebody to come and pick us up. But that's where the train ended, at the foot of the incline.
So did you fairly often take the train back and forth to St. Thomas?
No.
No, just on occasion.
No, not frequently at all.
Yeah.
So do you remember how the train did that? Because I know where the train station is now by the bridge.
Yes, and it kept coming along, like straight south from along, well, whatever that street is, Carlo, is it? Beside the Legion?
Yeah.
And then it would turn, and then it turned west.
Yeah, I know it came in on the north side of Edith Cavell.
Yeah.
And then did it turn and come back around by the incline?
It went straight to the incline. So I'm guessing maybe it had to back up to get back to the train station.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but if they were just going there, well, I guess when they were having the big dances that we've heard about and the big picnics, that they would have had a lot of train cars.
Mm-hmm.
But I think on a regular summer day, they wouldn't have that many cars. But that was one of the things, and then they had miniature golf down there. One of my girlfriends worked there. Mom would take us to horse shows in that park.
Mm.
And around 1980, the circus came to town.
Oh.
It was so exciting because the cottage that we had at that point was right beside the park, that field. So we could see, we had seen signs that said a circus was coming. And then the night before the circus arrived, there was a big black pickup truck in the middle of the field. There were no condos, no nothing. And the incline was out of commission. I said, well, that guy's going to be pretty surprised tomorrow when the circus gets here. Well, as it turned out, he was the one who was putting up signs for all the people in the circus to follow so they would know where they were going, because there were no GPSs or anything like that. So he was part of the circus. So we got to watch the elephant put up the big top. And again, I think it was around 1980.
Wow. And you watched it from up the hill.
Well, no,
And
we
then you
came
came
right
down.
down and
Yeah.
we're watching and talking to the, the dog trainer and all these people. And I said to the elephant guy, like, would you take the elephant over for a swim across the street beside the Stork Club? And he goes, no. You don't want to do that with an elephant because you could lose the elephant. which you don't think about. But it was very exciting for me. I mean, I had been to circuses in St. Thomas, not too many, but I had never actually seen the setup and to watch the elephant with the great big huge post for the big top. That was.
Well, I've always heard of elephants and other animals being in the circus, but this was a working elephant.
Well, actually, Mom and I did an elephant ride.
Yeah. When the circus was here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after putting up the big tent, it has to also give
But
rides.
You're saying 1980, but then you referred,
circus.
but you referred to the Stork Club as if it was still there.
Yes. Now let me see what this says. 1979 was the fire. So yeah, I don't know. I was trying to guess when the circus came, but I don't really remember. Yeah. That was a fun memory though. My dad used to race motorcycles up and down the hill.
Which hill?
The picnic hill. And I think they had motorcycle races on the east side of the incline tracks. But I don't know, because he didn't do that when I was born.
Up from the beach side up the hill. Wow.
Yeah.
So these would be more like rough terrain motorbikes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, did they have such a thing back then? You know, that would be in the 40s, I would imagine.
So was that an organized thing, or just he and his friends did it?
I don't know, because he did give me a picture of the motorcycle club in front of City Hall in St. Thomas. Back to the village. We had a laundromat in the village and a theater. And I don't remember how long the theater lasted. But I do remember going to the show one summer to see Tammy with Debbie Reynolds.
And was the theater in that same building where the laundromat was? Or
I think they were almost beside each other.
like kind of where the 782 is now?
So we would, of course, we had no laundry facilities at the cottage, and St. Thomas was 1,000 miles away back in those days. So again, we would come down with our laundry, go to the laundromat, and then we go to the grocery store that Rick Booker's parents were running at that point, where Harbor House is now. And then walk back. Maybe we went and got a drink or had lunch or something at the restaurant, and then take our laundry and go home and iron it.
Most of that theater is gone. The big part of the theater was burned down, right? You remember that?
I don't remember what happened to it. If that apartment area,
The front part's still there, but the big theater area burned down behind.
Yeah. And then, of course, the popcorn was half the draw then, too.
We've had a lot of fires in this village, haven't we?
We have.
A lot of good buildings have gone by the way of fire.
Yeah. I was living in St. Thomas between 90 and 93. I came home, and that's when the Clifton fire happened. And I got home from school, and my sister told me about the fire, and I hopped in the car right away and drove down here to see.
The Clifton is now back down on Main Street, we're talking, right?
Yeah, the Clifton Hotel on Main Street. So presently it's just a parking lot. And it's so, to me, it's so strange to see. I thought that was a huge hotel. And to see the parking lot doesn't strike me as that big. Yeah. They had a nice restaurant there.
They had a good perch dinner.
Yeah, we went there frequently. Yeah. And then when we had Calypso down here, come and live in Port Stanley, Ontario, Calypso days, they opened up their parking lot for outside beverages. And they had a little fence around it and picnic tables and so on. That was part of Calypso weekend. They always had big dances at the Stork Club. And one more little detail back up to Front Street.
Yeah.
The house, the cottage to the east of our cottage, unfortunately was torn down, and it was a big, rambling, fabulous old one-story cottage. It would have been the only fabulous one-story cottage up there. But anyway, it got torn down, and I don't know if the property was expropriated or what happened, but then they put a new side street in right beside your house. That street didn't used to be there when we were kids. That was their lawn. Or Dr. Henry's lawn.
Okay.
But I'm betting the garbage men were happy when that happened, because then they didn't have to back up, at least in one part of Port Stanley.
Oh, that's interesting. So that was, that's why there's two names, like that little part's called Invererie now. And I guess that's why it has a different name, because it didn't used to be there as a street.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, the back street just, and it was a dead end.
Yeah.
And that was probably another reason we weren't back there more often, because you would be going through people's properties to get
there.
unless you went down the street. There was thinking about who lived there when we were kids, and in this stretch, there were 3 doctors and a major and an opera singer, a male opera singer, Mr. Meek.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we would go by that place and hear the piano going and all the time. Yeah, that was interesting. Our dog did not like Mr. Meek. And he always wore a hat, a fedora type of hat. And we decided he didn't like the hat, because he kind of would go for a walk in a suit with his hat, and the dog was always barking at him. Towards the park, there is a little cul-de-sac area that's Norma Place, where the Fraser Heights Hotel was. But we knew Norma. She lived in that house right there, and
What was her, so Norma was her first name?
yes, and I don't know if I ever even knew her last name, but her husband was killed at the corner where the new fire hall is now on the highway, I think in the fog. And she was a young mother with a couple kids. But anyway, that is, I think, her sitting on the porch with her kids when we would be walking back and forth, and sometimes we had our roller skates over our shoulders.
The kids were younger than you were.
Yeah, her kids were just little. Yeah. And we were probably such a mature 14-year-old or 15 going down to roller skate. Yeah. And then, not in Port, but we used to go to the drive-in on the highway where the Masonic Hall is now. Yeah. And that was a great drive-in. We have so many great memories of that. And Mom would never take us there until August, because it got darker earlier. In August.
That's right.
In July, you had to wait forever for the movie to start.
Right.
But yeah, we had a lot of fun at the drive-in.
Good stories, good memories.
Yeah, thanks so much for taking the time and sharing the great memories.
You're
with us
welcome.
today.
Yeah, they are great memories.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. It's been fun. Yeah.